Welcome back to DC Today. Protesters against racism and police brutality have now been ousted out of Seattle's chop zone, but their demands to defund the police rages on. But that makes some people very nervous. Does it mean that the streets will turn into the wild, wild west? Well, no, says Karen Lee. She's one of Seattle's top Black CEOs. Defunding the police would allow Pioneer Human Services, a nonprofit, to do even more to help former inmates get the services that they need. Later in the interview, we'll also be joined by one of her program's success stories. Karen, welcome to DC Today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today.
It's nice having you. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing and impressive background. I think folks would think, like, wow, you know, she comes from a background that is so vastly different than the people that she is working to help. What brought you to this type of work?
I just think my desire to really make our world a better place. It's as simple as that. I grew up, luckily enough, my father was a career Army officer and he grew up in the segregated South. He went to medical school, joined the Army. He was in the Army for 30 years and he was the first African-American general officer in the military. So as I was growing up, I was able to see the impacts of racism in the South with educational attainment, integration, and then achievement with education. So I was able to see all of those things. And I just think that I wanted for other people that looked like me to have more opportunity, because I was also able to see what it's like to live in an area that doesn't have as much discrimination between Blacks and whites. And I just wanted to be able to help the places that I live be a little bit more like that.
And you were also in the military as well, and talk about the school
Yes.
that you attended.
I went to the United States Military Academy at West Point, so I am also a former officer. I went at a time when there were very, very few women back in the 80s, and I'm very, very proud of all the things that, you know, that I accomplished at that point in my life before I decided to come back here, go to law school, and start a whole new second career.
Second career, we're glad you did. So let's talk about these recent protests that erupted in Seattle and all over the country, demanding change in police policies and to end racism. You know, that can't really stop at the prison door, correct?
Absolutely. Change, our society just needs so much change, and we have been criminalizing youth misbehavior, substance use disorder, unconscious bias, and it's time for us to stop that. And these protests are a way of citizens being able to voice that things need to change and be different. So I am particularly proud of the peaceful protesters, of course, but I'm proud that people are assembling and letting folks in power know that it's time for things to change.
And we're going to bring in one of those folks a little bit later on in the interview, Marquis, and hear his story. So folks, stay with us. More with Karen when we come back.